Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Cuda Education. Today we are going to talk about Vulkan Instance. And this is an overview of tutorial number 2. So I will include a link in the description below for tutorial number 2, which is a detailed video walkthrough of the Vulkan instance and creating it and what it does and why we need to do it and all that stuff. Here is just a pretty basic overview, but we actually go into source code on Visual Studio, and dive into actually, getting our hands dirty with the Vulkan instance and all that stuff. So what's the purpose of a Vulkan instance? A couple things that we want to communicate to Vulkan, and it's basically a means of communicating certain things to Vulkan. So number one, what do you want to do? So Vulkan has the ability to do computer graphics, which is putting a pixel on the screen, or you could do compute, which is straight computational tasks, mathematics, processing things, and doing it in a parallel processing manner. So one of the things that an instance does is you're communicating to Vulkan what it is you want to do, right? 2, a very basic thing, name of the application. So what is the name of your application? Very basic stuff. People might look over it, people might gloss over it, but it's very important to have a name so that if you have multiple instances in Vulkan, you know exactly which instance is doing what. So naming your application and communicating that name is important. Number 3, very important, version number of Vulkan API. All right? Very important. There are updates to the Vulkan API fairly frequently. Small bug change updates, large updates, and everything in between. So it's important to communicate what version of Vulkan API you are using. So, just some more general things. Number 4, an instance is a formal introduction connecting your application to Vulkan. All right, I kind of briefly glossed over it, but that's that's an important piece of the puzzle. Number 5, Vulkan is platform agnostic. So Vulkan doesn't depend on you using specific kinds of hardware. You could run Vulkan on Android. You could run Vulkan on Windows, which is what our tutorials focus on. You could run Vulkan on Linux. You could run Vulkan just about anywhere. I think Raspberry Pi and all that stuff. So Vulkan is platform agnostic. it's not tied to any GPU, specific GPU vendor. It's not proprietary. It's basically an open industry standard. So all of the major, whether it be hardware manufacturers, software developers, they all have a relationship with Vulkan, and they all they all have an interest in making sure Vulkan becomes the platform of choice. Number 6, one of the things that the instance does is it connects to GLFW and declare wired Vulkan So I mentioned in the previous discussion for tutorial number 1, which is installing Vulkan on a Windows machine, that GLFW is the actual windowing system that is used for presentation on the screen. So Vulkan does all the hard work in the background, but eventually you're going to have to present your creation in a computer graphics application to the screen. So GLFW has to basically communicate with Vulkan to find out what are the required extensions that it needs. And this is kind of all wrapped up in the Vulkan instance conversation. So of course the tutorial kind of will go through it in more detail, but that's something that we also have to take care of. And then also number 7, Vulkan Layers. So you're going to have to declare what Vulkan layers you're going to use. So there's a huge thing about validation layers. You sort of declare, okay, do you want validations? You don't want validation layers? What validation layers do you want, etc., etc., etc. So the Vulkan instance sort of declares what validation layers you're going to use in your instance and all of that stuff. And that's pretty much it. As another final note, Vulkan can be used for computer graphics or compute. So remember, as I said earlier, that you could use Vulkan to put pixels on a screen, which is computer graphics, or you can use it for straight compute, which is for taking advantage of parallel processing. All right. So that's my take on the Vulkan instance. In tutorial number 2, I'll have a link below. I go video walkthrough through the entire process of the Vulkan instance, using real running source code on a Windows machine. By tutorial number 2, you should have source code running on your Windows machine, so you could follow along and understand what's going on. So definitely, guys, check out the tutorial link below. Check out all the other tutorials from Cuda Education. Definitely tell your friends. Get started on Vulkan. It is the future. Augmented reality, virtual reality, hologramming, just data science, reporting needs. You want to be able to control a pixel on the screen. And I'm not talking about some prefabricated, high-level software. I'm talking about actually being able to control every piece of what you're doing, and having it do exactly what you want it to do, how you want it to do it, etc., etc. So get started on the Vulkan API train. It is the future. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.